is a really a natural evolution of Perplexity as a company and Perplexity's products. So as you hopefully know, Perplexity started as an AI answer engine or an AI search engine, and we were the first company to connect large language models to web to give you more accurate answers. And this was kind of the start of Perplexity. Over time, this has evolved. We also released a product called Comet, which is an agentic browser, right? And now you could do agentic tasks in your browser, also searching on Perplexity, finding the answers that you're looking for. And today, we are excited to introduce to you a computer um, that really allows you to combine the best of Perplexity, the best of Comet, and to give you a really new, super intelligent product. I like to call it, I like to tell people, think of computer when you're thinking about Perplexity versus computer. Think of computer as a super intelligent AI orchestration system that allows you to do all sorts of things on Perplexity. So not just get answers, but actually do work. Um, Let me see, I'm just double checking on my slides here. So, like some of the things that computer can do, and we're going to talk about most of this, is computer can make dashboards for you. It can write research papers, build websites and applications, presentations. It does it in a really, really cool way by orchestrating a lot of different models on the back end, a lot of different tools, a lot of different tasks, memory. So we're going to go into that, like talk about it exactly in detail. And everything runs autonomously in an isolated cloud sandbox. So you could, kick off a task from your phone, for example, when you wake up, go brush your teeth, go drink your coffee, get to the office, open up computer on your desktop browser and see which tasks have finished, which tasks need your input, and whether other tasks you need to kick off. And that's really, you know, I think the future of how knowledge workers are going to be using AI in the future. So let's see. Other things, yeah, like I mentioned, we're multi-model, cloud native, and we're going to talk about memory as well today. Um, oh, Jenny, you had these slides already. Okay. Well, I kind of talked about most of it. Running asynchronously. This is kind of like one of my favorite things to call out to large enterprises. I am telling people, AI is evolving from synchronous work, right, where you ask a question and you get an answer immediately, to asynchronous work, where you ask a question and you wait for computer to generate, a dashboard, an Excel model for you. You come back in some time, like 15 minutes, 15 hours, whatever it is, and you get results this way. So we're going to talk a bit more about this. Okay, so let us get started. So I'm going to show you the first like computer use case and what. Well, let me just move my Zoom settings really quick. One thing to note is watch out. I'm going to first introduce you to the first use case, but after I'm going to have you guys decide, like choose your own adventure, what we're going to talk about. So keep an eye on this. The first thing that I wanted to show you is uh, where to find computer right when you're logging in. So this is your home page, and you can toggle computer here to access computer or just toggle it here. Our team has added some fun UI here. And you can start a new task from just typing something in here or starting a new task from here. And one of the first tasks that I wanted to show you was, let me just pull it up here. Let's see if I have it. Okay, there we go. Um, Using the market research skill, perform a TAM-SAM-SAM analysis on plant-based meat alternatives, provide the results of the slide deck. This is actually like a pretty simple computer use case. The way that I did it is, let me show you here. So if you're not sure, if you're just getting started with computer and you're not really sure like what questions you should even be asking, under the Tasks tab, you will see that you get a few options here, like market research. So if you click on market research, Perplexity will give you a few options of like, oh, what kind of analysis framework do you want for your market research? Okay, I'm going to choose this one, right? And what topic would you like to analyze? Okay, plant-based meat alternatives. You can type other things in here as well. And Then it will ask you what kind of output you want, right? Do you want PDF, slides, Excel? If you've used Perplexity and you've played around with deep research already, I encourage you to play around with this because computers' research capabilities are a lot more powerful. Why? Because think of when you're thinking of computer, it's an AI orchestration system. It's gonna think for as long as it takes to give you the answer that you're looking for. It's not really bound by 5 or 15 or 20 minutes of reasoning. It will think maybe for 30 minutes, for an hour. One time I told it to think for 5 hours, and it can do all of this. So I really think it gives you much better results. So it'll also ask you if we're, going back to this market research question, it'll ask you to provide any additional context, which you can. We'll talk about this in a bit. Like in general, I do encourage you to provide more context, but you can click, start this research button and it will start researching for you. Most of these queries I already ran in advance because it does take a little while to generate these outputs. A couple of things that I want to point out over here, right? So again, simple first query, but let's look at what is important. So the first thing that you will see is that Perplexity Computer starts kicking off a few different skills. So I'm going to come back to skills, but skills are like very specific ways of instructing how you want Perplexity Computer to behave and do certain things. And we have pre-built skills and we have skills that you can create as well. And I'll talk a little bit about that. Um, you can see that computer comes up with a research plan. What you can also see is that for these market research questions, Perplexity uses not just web search results, but actually premium data sources from our partners like CV Insights, PitchBook, Statista. This is actually pretty cool. I think a lot of people don't know because it's a little bit easy to miss. But yeah, you are getting these market research sources that are generally not publicly accessible on the web. There's a lot of multi-model orchestration happening, for example, and it's really like behind the scenes, like a lot of the research agents use Gemini, document creation uses Claude, and you'll see some of this. Overall, here you can see that these are tasks that are running in parallel, where Perplexity is researching Statista, researching PitchBook, researching other tasks. You can always like click into each task to see a little bit more of the in the dropdown what Perplexity is doing. And then overall, it generates this nice research report. You can see that it's using Claude to build the PowerPoint slide deck. Built into computer is the ability to fact check the work that Perplexity does. Not to fact check, but like to visually check the work that Perplexity does. So it has like this visual QA step. You'll find it happens a lot. You'll find these like visual QA steps happen for a lot of the queries that you're going to be running, but overall it creates these slides and you can see them here. So you can view them, in full screen. You can also download them and open them in PowerPoint and Google Drive, for example. All of that. You can see that it's going to load. It takes a second to load. I know a lot of folks have questions, but we do have people answering the questions on the back end, and then we'll leave 5 minutes for questions as well. So you can see Perplexity created these slides, right? They're very nice slides. You can have these pie charts as well that you can play around with. This is just very, very first example of computer in action. Okay, I want to move along. I want to show you another really cool use case beyond market research. So, market research, step one, let's see another cool query. And just to keep things clean, I'm going to exit out of some of these tabs. Okay, all right. This is something that I'm excited about. This is like a slightly more advanced use case. Okay, and let me scroll to the very top to see what I did. So yesterday I was like, which company should we put on the spot to perform a website audit? So I just found a random company's website, and we're going to do a website audit. So let's talk about this. So one of the cool things about computer is that it can perform website audits for just about any website on the internet. So we're doing a comprehensive website audit of Jive's Media. And, this is kind of like the prompt that I've built out, covering UX navigation, purchase flow, trust, performance, SEO. And I actually tell computer to use my local browser. I give it a little bit of instructions like, oh, if you like struggled the first time, like just try again and output a docx report with annotated screenshots and severity ratings from your website audit, plus an Excel issue tracker for team handoff. And so what you can see is that Perplexity kicks off these skills. It comes up with a research plan, and it's starting to audit. There's always this human in the loop element to everything that Perplexity does. And so since I told Perplexity, I want you to use my local browser, right? Because I'm doing this in Comet, so Perplexity can perform agentic actions on my behalf within Comet. It's asking me, do you allow the agent to use your local browser for a thorough audit of Jive's media? This ensures we see the site exactly as real users would. So I clicked allow, and then it started navigating. And it does this navigation. You can see it's using Claude Sonnet in this case, since I didn't specify exactly what I wanted to do, and it's kind of continuing on with its research plan. And you can see here that it just continues doing things. I believe we actually have a website audit skill, so it kind of follows the website auditing skill that's available within Perplexity. And now it's creating these deliverables, uh, again, doing that QA step and then generating the output. So it finds like 36 issues, some critical, some high, some medium, and some low. And it generates this audit report. I'll show it to you in just a second. But one thing that I want to point out is like one of the things that I like to do when I'm doing website audits is I like to use different models to double check each other's work. So basically I had most of what computer was doing in the initial website audit was um, with a lot of Claude models. So I said, now I want you to use OpenAI 5.4, which again is like one of our orchestrator models that you'll see here, right? Uh, GPT 5.4. I want you to use this model, look at the report in Excel spreadsheets you just generated, and then I want you to use this model to verify, I meant to say verify, the top critical and high findings, are they legitimate? And you can use my local browser again, right? So it actually does this verification step again with a different model, right? So I'm basically having models double check each other's work. And then ultimately it comes out with, okay, this is kind of like what I found. Here are the verification results. And let me see if I can download, let's export. Oh, this one is an addendum. So let me also go back to the original output. But you can see what Perplexity creates
And
for
Janetta,
you.
while you pull that up,
Yeah.
we have a lot of questions around how can you have a specific layout that computer can follow as well as your brand? I know you touched on
Oh,
skills before, but would love to cover a little bit about that.
yes, let me come back to skills because that's going to be in one of the things that I talk about. And yes, you can ask Perplexity to follow your brand guidelines as part of a skill that you create. So I'm going to come back to this. Um, that's a really good question. But again, you can see the website audit. What is really cool is that actually computers taking screenshots of the audit as it goes through, right? And then it like shows things like, oh, on the blog postcards, there's no author bylines or published dates. Like, sure, this is a low severity finding, but it might be something that you might improve. And again, this is from just, one prompt. I ask computer to complete this task and it's able to find these recommendations and surface them to me in basically 53 pages of suggestions. And again, this is the annotated one. One thing is that sometimes it exports a little bit weird into Google Docs, but if you export this into Word, it'll work really well. Okay. And again, there's an Excel spreadsheet. Like, let's say you don't want to read through the whole website audit, you just want like bullet points of this is what I need to fix, this is what I want to fix. You can export it into Excel as well, and then it'll give you a pretty good output here. Even a priority matrix and a summary dashboard.
So a lot of folks are saying, "Hey, like I've asked this question in Perplexity before. In
Mhm.
computer, like if you put the same question in computer, it's really more of this thorough document where you can get screenshots, you can get further research. You're still going to get a very thorough report if you ask it in Perplexity. But if there's something that more of you want to output, you want something that you can take and edit as a deliverable, that is where I would use computer. Jenna, what do
Yeah.
you bring up any other differentiators that you think of?
Yeah, I agree. Again, like when people are like, oh, what is the difference? I tell people like Perplexity computer will think for as long as it takes to give you the answer that you're looking for, right? So you're not time bound. You can give it a really complex question, or you can ask it to make like really beautiful PowerPoint slides. I, for example, have skills where I have Perplexity create flowcharts in PowerPoint, like very complicated flowcharts with very specific guidelines. And it follows those skills. It's just something that you're not able to do when you have um, an AI tool that is time bound by the level of reasoning that it can output for you. Okay. As I just moving along, I as I promised, I want us to go on a bit of a choose your own adventure, choose your own adventure for queries. So one second, I'm just adding this. Uh Jenny, which one are we?
The poll is
Wait.
launched.
Oh yeah,
So
yeah. Poll is lunch. Okay. Are we doing data analysis? Are we doing dashboard or legal review? So we'll go through all of these, but choose your own adventure on which query we're gonna run. And yeah, I absolutely did use computer to build out this like funny little website. Okay, you
someone
guys
said
get
all three, but what I'll make sure is that in the follow-up we have all examples. Data analysis is the winner by far. For now,
okay,
I'm gonna click
okay,
the poll and
okay. Yes, 46% of you want data analysis, 35% want dashboard, 19 want legal review. So then I guess we will do data analysis, dashboard, legal review.
sounds
Okay,
good.
so all right, and I'm gonna introduce skills to you once we talk about the intelligence dashboard and talk about like customizing skills. Okay, so let's run this demo. So in this case, before I show you the output, let me show you the query. So I told Perplexity I work at Nexus. Nexus is just a made up company. What percentage of our enterprise customers renewed in Q4 versus Q3? Break it down by segment and show me the retention trend over the last 4 quarters. Look at our Nexus data in Snowflake. Okay, so one of the things that I want to call out is that Perplexity now connects directly to your Snowflake data repository. And in fact, Perplexity Computer has a lot of different connectors. Snowflake, it's connected. This might be something that you'll have to ask your team to help set up and authenticate into for the organization. But really, there's all sorts of there's all sorts of connectors that Perplexity Computer has access to, and you even have the option to add your own custom MCP connector if there's a tool here that is not exactly supported. What is unique about the Snowflake connector is that Perplexity Computer will actually make a data map of your data repository so that the AI can better understand how your data is set up on the back end to answer your questions in a more robust way. So let's go through here. One of the things that I wanted to point out is that, computer has memory about me, right? So it recalls the user's work context, data setup. This is where I'm talking about the data map. It's checking Snowflake and these database connectors. It's loading its skill, coding and data skill. This is a pre-built skill that computer has. And now it does this analysis on some of the data. Again, this is not real data. This is just some of our data scientists added in synthetic data, but you can see that Perplexity does this data analysis really well. You can click into the chart and see what it's creating. What I can also do is I can say, can you put this into a PowerPoint with recommendations for the go-to-market team on what we should address or monitor more closely over the next quarter, right? And it'll actually do that as well. It'll build a PowerPoint slide deck too for you. If you wanted to, again, all of this exports into PowerPoint or Google Slides. You can see all of this here. So again, I'm not going into the details of exactly how computer is doing a data analysis, but you are able to just point it to database and it's able to reason through the data in a quantitative way, right? That might mean turning on Python programming. That might mean understanding your data to set up the right SQL queries to query that data. This is just one example. I'm going to come back to data analysis since it seems like it's a really, really popular question, and I'll show you a little bit more of what computer can do. But again, computers writing the SQL queries, and you don't have to necessarily write these queries. In fact, one of our chief business officer in had recently shared that basically, he's not technical. He doesn't know how to write SQL code. If he had to ping a data scientist, it would have taken a lot of hours. But here, within a minute, he's able to do this full analysis. And I think this is like the really big aha moment for me at Perplexity. Um, it's happened to me in the past where I've reached out to our data science team and I was like, hey, I want to figure out how many of our users have the Slack connector enabled because we want to give them early access to our new Slack connector. And I pinged our data scientist and I was waiting for a response. But while I was waiting for a response, I was like, I wonder if I can ask computer to give me the answer. And so in parallel, I asked computer to give me the answer. It took some time to think. It came back, gave me the result. I already had the answer to my question before my data scientist had even acknowledged my question, right? So now I can do a lot more things. I feel a lot more empowered. And hopefully that is something that you start thinking about when you're asking questions on computer, right? Like what are the questions that you can ask computer that you wouldn't have asked in the past because it would have been too high friction or like basically impossible for you to get an answer. But now you can get these answers. So I think that's important. And again, when we're talking about a lot of sensitive enterprise data, we always want to talk about security. So the Snowflake is personal to you. Nobody else can query your data. Perplexity is SOC 2 Type 2 compliant. We're even HIPAA compliant. I work with some of our large pharma organizations. Again, we need a business associate agreement there, but you could potentially even process PHI data in Perplexity. And admins can control which connectors you choose to enable or not. Okay,
Uh,
so
yeah,
yeah.
no, I know some folks are saying, "Hey, could I double check the SQL query?" And yes, you could also what Janetta will share later is that when we bring how we use it internally is that we actually have a shared public channel and we
Hmm.
always make sure, hey, make sure you share the SQL query of how you share this data if it doesn't already automatically. And I usually just say, hey, data scientist, do you mind just quickly checking if this is right? And I know we're going to get to skills later, but that skill, having a skill written by your data science team on which tables to check for what type of information, having different definitions of what data means what is always really helpful.
Yeah, yeah, and I'll just ask it to share the SQL queries that it used. So it's gonna search for it and give you the response, right? If you can't exactly find it. Okay, moving on for now though, let's look at some other use cases. So the next one on the list is the account intelligence dashboard. So let's take a look at this one. Okay, here is where I want to talk about skills in details. Let me go back up here. So what I told Perplexity Computer is to build and deploy a four-quadrant account intelligence dashboard for Acme Inc. Acme Inc. just stands for a fake company, using the account dashboard skill. And I wanted to check my email, calendar, Salesforce, Snowflake data, and pull in recent news. Okay, let me show you this skill. And let me actually show you our skills overall. So if I click here into skills, you can see that there is a skills repository. There are my skills, there are org skills, and there are example skills. So again, skills allow you to create reusable actions, reusable capabilities within Perplexity. Some of these skills, like legal contract review, right? There's basically like this really, really long prompt around how exactly um, computers should perform legal contract review. This is one of the pre-built skills that Perplexity provides to you. Other examples, well, really, there's even a skill to create a skill, which you can use. You can try it in chat. The skill that I in particular created is this account dashboard skill. It's a little bit hard to see, but essentially what I tell Perplexity Computer to do is to build a four-quadrant account intelligence dashboard for a customer account. And what it does is it pulls in Snowflake data, Gmail data. So I use Gmail. You could connect it to Outlook, calendar, Salesforce, web search, and it basically puts it into this four quadrant view. I like to use it when I'm talking to my different customers, right? And to get a bird's eye view of what is the status of their account. And again, this is a very long skill, but there's even a reference template here as well, very long as well. But you can have access to, or rather, computer has access to all of this when that skill has been triggered in the query. So if I go back, and one last thing, let me show you how you can create a skill on the top right. You can either upload a skill or you can create with Perplexity, like help me create a skill together using the create skill, ask me what the skill should do, right? You can kick it off like this, and then it will it's basically loading its skill. I know it's like a little bit meta. Okay, what do you want the skill to do? So I don't know, like I want to build cool flowcharts in PPTX, right? And then it'll basically interview me and continue asking questions to make sure that the skill really is more refined and personalized to you because we don't just want to create like super generic skills, right? So I always tell people you should put thought into creating the skill, and what you can also do is um, you can iterate on the skill. Like, let's say you use a skill and it creates something for you, and then you find yourself making edits to like certain things all the time. You could just go back to that original skill and say, hey, I want you to update this so that like whenever a dashboard is created, it's always created in light mode instead of dark mode, right? But it'll ask me questions like this, and then I can make these decisions. I can type something else, and click continue, and it'll create a skill. I'm not gonna create this particular skill, but it's something that you should definitely play around with in computer.
And pro
Okay,
tip, usually
yeah.
marketing teams have brand sites, right? Or brand guidelines.
Oh, yes.
Computer can view and have their own web agent, even if you're not on comment. So if you can also bring that in and say, hey, reference these brand guidelines as well, it will also reference that as well.
Yeah. That's a really good one. So, uh, basically, I'm saying, oh, help me create a skill that will reference my company's brand guidelines. So in that skill, you can have instructions, and then you can even add files to the skills if you need to with like your logo and things like that. So that's actually a good use case. So when people were asking, how do I make the output more personalized to me, then it will trigger this brand skill and then make the output rather not more personalized, but like more on brand for you. Yeah. Okay. So let me move back and just show you the outputs here. So again, this is a demo mode, but computer reads the reference template in that particular skill that I created, builds the dashboard, and gives me a nice overview here. And you can see here's the like four quadrant dashboard that I built. Like absolutely love it. Here it's like showing Perplexity usage, monthly active users, how many queries people are asking in this particular account. Again, this account is not real. Here's some recent email communications, but it will like if it's connected to your Gmail, it will actually pull in real Gmail queries, and you'll be able to real Gmail emails, and you'll be able to click directly into the email if you want to, right? Okay, news and strategic moves. So yeah, I have this internal relationship with the customer, but what is happening externally? Like what should I be aware of in the news? And so what I absolutely love this and meetings and transcripts, like what meetings have happened in the past, what meetings are happening in the future. I sometimes will maybe share this dashboard with if I'm bringing like a chief business officer into a conversation. I'm like, hey, here's like the context on my account, and this is what you should know. This is where we are today. It's very helpful. And again, if you think back to like the skill that I'm using, right? Like connecting to email, to calendar, to Salesforce, Snowflake. If I asked a data scientist to build that out for me, they'd be like, well, Janetta, this is going to take me like, I don't know, like 3 days to build for you. So I really need good justification for why you need this particular dashboard, right? But now I don't need to ask my data scientist or my software engineer to build it out for me. I can just build it out myself. And I can tweak it and I can iterate on it if I want to as well. Just overall, like a really, really cool and powerful example. Okay, the last thing that I wanted to show you is document review. So let me exit out of all of these just to keep my tabs clean. So legal document review. Um, so what I did is I told Perplexity, I want you to review this vendor agreement against our standard template, flag any non-standard terms compared to our template, redline changes, output is a docx with redlines. And what I attached is the customer's version of the document against the template, right? And so it loaded its document review skill, legal contract skill, and then kicked off multiple tasks in parallel, created a task list, and then generated the output. My default, so in case you're wondering, like that it's using Cloud Opus, so my default orchestrator model is Cloud Opus. But if you want to try other models, like if you know that a task maybe does not need um, as complex of an analysis. Try Claude Sonnet. It's a little bit cheaper, or just play around with GPT 5.4 because it's a newer model that came out. But in my case, I just have this set as my default. And so it provided this summary of findings, and it provided this really cool red line as well. So I'm going to open it in Google Docs. In Google Docs, it doesn't have like, or it has the comments and then it has the red lines, right? And then it just knows it's like, oh, this is not in our standard template, or here's red, like this termination right is not in the template. Here are some of the concerns here, right? So you can actually have Perplexity Computer do all of this for you. And again, you can also download it as a docx as well. Okay. All right. So that is the three queries that I wanted to show you. I know I'm moving really fast through here, but hopefully this gives you a glimpse into what computer can do, right? Because a lot of times people will come to me and they're like, hey, Janetta, like, what can computer do? And I say, well, computer can do really anything. Your creativity is the limit when it comes to computer. But the nuance there is that when you tell people that computer can do anything, it confuses people, right? So we do want like sometimes to talk about very specific use cases of like it can do data analysis, it can create dashboards, it can do legal review. But hopefully the idea is that you're not just taking my queries and saying like, okay, I'm going to copy paste this exactly and run it. Hopefully you're getting a little bit more creative yourself with, oh, here are my pain points. Here are the things that I really don't like doing at work, or I wonder if I can automate this, and then trying that yourself. Okay. All right. So now we're going to shift a little bit, and I want to talk to you about computer in Slack. So what I am going to do here is show you this demo Slack environment. Okay, so as you may have heard in the news, or maybe you haven't heard in the news, but last week Perplexity released computer within Slack. And what that means is that you can add computer to any channel or any multi-person or single person DM and thread, and you can basically have computer run the queries that I was showing you in the Perplexity UI, but you can have it run those kinds of queries in Slack channels, and you can get a lot more collaborative with how you're using computer. Somebody has called, or let me actually show you an example. So one of the examples was, let's see, okay, uh, Jenny, which one did I want to show? I have a lot.
We had a few.
Okay,
Yep.
maybe this one. Okay, maybe this one. So let me collapse this. So I told computer, check our Snowflake data and tell me what are our top five demographic profiles by total lifetime spend, and which demographic sentiments have the highest return rates. Okay. So computer did this analysis. It's not going to show you necessarily every single reasoning step, but you can go back to your Perplexity computer account in Perplexity and see the reasoning steps. But it does this analysis, and this is what it finds for 25,000 customer records. It's like, okay, this is what I found. Here's a segment by return rate. Oh, and what I've actually found is that the highest spending customers are the highest returning customers. And so I'm like, oh, okay, well, computer, we lose a lot of money with returns. Can you do wide and deep research on how other luxury brands are dealing with high returns? And then I'm like kind of tagging Jenny and I'm saying like, hey, am I missing any other competitors like Louis Vuitton? Gucci, like who else do I need, right? And in the meantime, computer gives me this output, says, okay, this is what I found. And Jenny's like, oh, maybe we should look at Tom Ford. Okay, all right, computer, can you also do a search on the above for Tom Ford? And here's what computer finds. So hopefully this gives you a little bit of an idea of if you are working at a larger organization and you have multiple teams that want to iterate ideas, bounce things off of each other. Um, the Slack connector is a really really good way of doing this. I see somebody's asking like, when is this coming to Teams? I know large enterprises, a lot of them work with Teams, and so that is coming and going to be available in the future soon. Um, one of
In
I think something that are somebody said this, but they call this ambient learning. So if you look at all of these different threads, right? Like Noah or Nat, like they're asking questions like, oh, what's driving the revenue dip in September 2025, right? So maybe I wouldn't have had all of these really complex data analysis questions, but now I can see Noah in our computer questions Slack channel that's dedicated for computer asking these questions. And so now I'm getting ideas around how I might be using computer. And that's kind of what we call ambient learning. And basically, our chief business officer talked about this being like the most powerful tool for up leveling everybody in their computer usage. He basically said it took off in a way that no other internal prototype ever took off before. And it really was because people could see each other's questions, they could see these answers, and people were just getting excited. And they're like, oh, like you did this data analysis, now I want to. Oh, you made this cool image, like now I want to. Some of these were like silly use cases, some of these were very serious use cases, but having this shared Slack channel really allowed us to test the limits of computer and see how other users were testing the limits and using computer in their day-to-day workflows.
I think,
Um,
especially
yeah,
when you're focused on a specific team, you can see what else are people looking at, if there's specific data analysis that you could further build on, and this way information is shared so much quicker. I know a lot of folks ask us, hey, like, what's the best way to adopt AI, and is there a playbook? And to be honest, we always say the playbook is just to edit and to see and refine and learn from each other. And this is a great way to kind of learn from others and how others are using AI as well.
yeah, that's a really good point. When you're using AI just for yourself, it's one thing, but when you're thinking about AI transformation within the organization, you are probably asking a lot of these questions like, how do I enable my team? Like I use it. How do I encourage my team to start using computer in this more intelligent way? And like a good example of this like cross-functional, you get a glimpse into how teams cross-functionally are using AI tools. Like I had our VP of infrastructure message me because I had asked a computer query around one of our customers, and he was like, "Oh, like this is really cool. I didn't know you were working with them. Like that's really exciting to see, right?" So you get this cross-functional collaboration as well. Yeah, so this is just one example. You can message computer directly if you want to. I think in this case it asked me to log in. Oh no, it didn't ask me to log in. So if there are some questions that are like sensitive, but you still want to be asking it in Slack, you can also message computer directly and say like, oh, is there a product feature that predicts whether a customer will churn, right? And then it gives me this output here. And then, if I want to, I can forward this private message, but maybe I want to start searching something more privately. Okay, one thing that I wanted to show you, but because this is in our actual private Slack, I had to take some screenshots. But I wanted to show you a really fun use case for computer Slack that I came up with yesterday. Okay, so. And these are all screenshots, but basically what I did in our computer testing channel in Perplexity Zone account is I said, "Hey computer, can you go through this thread?" I meant like the channel, and look at all the questions that Arvind, who's our CEO, has asked you. Then I want you to build and deploy a website highlighting the prompts of our CEO, with learnings about how other employees should be using computer, right? So even our CEO asks questions in our public computer Slack channel all the time. And so it's like, oh, okay, well, here's the deployed site showing Arden's computer prompts. I looked through and looked at the public prompts that he had shared. Here's this website. I'll show the website to you in just a second. I asked it to do a little bit of iteration. So don't expect everything on computer to be like a one-shot prompt. Like you are probably going to go back and forth, asking it to refine certain things, but that's okay, right? Because, the new programming language is English. That's what I tell people. Like, imagine computers like Claude Code for non-professional programmers, right? You can just ask an English question and then it'll iterate and give you a response, or English or whatever other language, German, French, and so on. And so computer updated the website, and then it updated, and generated this website. And so what I wanted to show you was actually this internal tool that computer built around how our CEO uses computer. So a couple things, and I'm just gonna, since we have just a little bit of time left, so I'm actually not gonna really talk through too much of this, but just a few things. Like you do want to be specific and detailed. And again, this is feedback based on how Arvind uses computer. You do want to ask it for concrete deliverables. You do want to chain multiple steps, right? So you maybe want it to do research and then visualization and then data analysis or whatever, right? And you can be creative and iterate on the results. So here, just like based on the types of questions that Arvind has asked, like here are things that you could ask. So you could say, go to the official earnings call transcript for a company, count how many times this executive and this executive mentioned these keywords, give me a table, right? For data visualization, research this particular metric for each neighborhood in this city and build a heat map, showing the exact values of something, right? So just really a lot of cool things. This one was fun, like generate an acquired podcast style deep dive on a particular topic, analyze previous acquired episodes, then research this, and then present the findings in that same podcast format. So this is just like one really fun, again, use case of how I basically used that public Slack channel to come up with even a prompt library. Um, I wanted to, but I don't think we're gonna have time, unfortunately. I was gonna tell people that you can use computer to learn. Actually, you know what? Let's do this. So I want somebody to drop their company name and company domain into the chat, and we're gonna build a prompt library for you. Okay, so let's see. Okay, this is the first one. Tennis fan store, Pentair. Okay. Oh, okay, let's do this. Okay. Uh, so I'm going to show you how to build a prompt library. I think this is actually really important because one of the things that we should talk about more, and I don't think we talk enough about it, is one second. Let me go here. There we go. That's much easier to see. Okay, so I'm going to basically tell computer to do this, to create a web app for a computer prompt for Pentair, um, pre-fill with categories and example prompts, research the company to understand their business model, target customers, the types of projects they work on, look through the prompts here, focus on business use cases, make it functional, have variables in there. I gave it some prompts here, but we're just going to let this run in the background. My learning here, or my suggestion to you here is that, use computer to learn how to use computer. If you are looking at the, computer screen and it's asking you, what should we work on next? And you're like, I have absolutely no idea what I should work on next. Like, what even question should I be asking? Just create your own version of a prompt library using this prompt. And then Perplexity is going to give you a lot more interesting results. And again, the more specific you are, the more you share about pain points, or maybe you have an Excel spreadsheet of use cases that you're exploring, the better the outputs will be. So I'll come back to this. But yes, we have 10 minutes left. So I think what we're going to do is I have this one last poll, Jenny. If we want to spin this up, I'm going to have folks decide what is the next. Let's try this again. Okay, choose your own adventure. Are people just choosing the first one? I think people were. Okay, that's fine. Financial
Shuffle
modeling,
it
live
a little bit.
monitoring, or doc review. Okay.
But some folks are asking if we can share these prompts. I will make sure
Yeah.
that these
Mhm.
prompts are
Yeah.
shared. and our follow-up as well as an FAQ. We have so many questions. Thanks so much for your participation. We're doing our best to get to all of them, but we will share
Yeah.
recordings, prompts, and FAQs afterwards. All right.
Yes. Yes.
A
Okay.
little bit more
So,
tied between financial modeling and live monitoring, but maybe we'll do
okay.
financial modeling and then save some time for Q&A.
Yes, let's do this. Okay. So, this one, Uh, I asked one of our finance people, I was like, how do you use Perplexity? Because like I don't do personally financial modeling, but I know there's probably a lot of finance people. So I'm just going to show this to you. I'm not going to say that I'm a financial modeling expert. But this is the prompt he gave me. He said, you're a senior hedge fund equity analyst building an investment memo on Amazon. I want you to build a comprehensive three-statement financial model in Microsoft Excel with integrated DCF valuation. This has to be institutional quality work formatted to hedge fund standards. And he basically talked about data sources, model requirements, formatting standards, the projection approach. And what computer did is it thought, for some time, and it kicked off all of its skills. So it has like a research assistant skill, a finance market skill, and it came up with a research plan. And then it parallelized all of these tasks, right, to uh, to find answers to the questions that I had posed, and then gathered all of this data, and then started building the model, the Amazon model in Python. Right. Then it needed to kind of take that and put it into Excel, then it's again doing like its own review. So it's finding formula errors. So it's finding issues and it's fixing these issues. And then it's rebuilding. Now it finds that there's no formula errors, right? So you can see like it's taking a long time to like do this like search and synthesis. I like to point this out because again, people are still a little bit confused around like when do I use Perplexity Computer versus when do I use Perplexity Deep Research. So you can see like the really high level of thought that goes into generating a response. Again, it's finding like other issues, and again, it's continuing to fix things. And then eventually it generates an Amazon. I'm just going to open it in Google Drive. It's probably better to open it in Excel since it's pretty big
I
model.
always
But
love exporting it and then editing it, and also bringing in my teammates to edit from a V1 as well.
that's true. That's true. That's a good point. Yeah. So maybe if you are a real financial analyst, you will probably scoff a little bit at me showing this to you in in Google, but know that you can export it in Excel. And just for the sake of the demo, showing this to you here. But yeah, you can see it's giving you the cover. I asked it to give the cover, right? Some assumptions, some income statement information. You can see like in the formula field that it is actually like calculating formulas, right? It's not just like pasting in numbers. It does have formulas for you. Some of this data, right? It's historical data that Perplexity is pulling in from SEC filings, and then it's looking at the income statement schedule and then doing a little bit more of a complex analysis. So this is just one example, but I tell people if you're in finance, if you wanted to build a model, or maybe you just wanted to build a very simple model like forecasting something, you can ask a computer to do this as well. So just recommend that you definitely check it out. Um, okay, so
We got
this
7 minutes. Just a
yeah.
quick check to Meta.
Oh yeah, time check, time check. Yes, we have just 7 minutes left, so I want to leave time for Q&A. So I won't show you like I'm just gonna I'm just, actually what I'm just gonna do is really quick just show you the output. I can ask computer to basically keep track of the sentiment around computer launch and build this into a dashboard, and then every single day update me on this. Oh, I'm not sure what happened. There we go. Update. Okay, well, it's not loading. Sorry, guys. The one real live bug. But it will update me and give me like sentiment by channel, mentions over time, what customers are loving about computers. So you can check all of this out. Maybe I need to update it. Yeah, I don't know. It's not loading for me. Okay. There's a lot of other things that you can be doing. You can do fact checking and document review. I encourage you to play around with this. If you're outputting a deliverable to a client or you're publishing something, check out Final Pass. It basically finds errors. It finds numerical errors, grammar errors. It will even fact check your sources to make sure that your sources match with what is showing up on the web. So play around with all of that. It's really, truly incredibly powerful. Um, yeah,
Seem like you're a great teacher, Janetta, and I wholeheartedly agree. You're thanks so much for sharing all this. With the 5 minutes, I think a common question that we're getting is how is it different than Claude Cowork? And I have a lot of answers to this, but I'm gonna let you take that one.
yeah, I can start. So one of the biggest things is that everything in Perplexity Computer is not running locally in on your machine, but it's actually running in the cloud. And so you are able to, like I said, like kick off a task when you wake up in the morning on your phone, then check back in on your computer and you don't have to have your computer running. That's one. Another big one is the models. So I do want to stress that Perplexity has access not just to Anthropic models, but to 20 different models. Perplexity Computer is multimodal and multi-model. So that means that you can use, Gemini's video generation models or Gemini reasoning on the back end. You can use OpenAI's latest models. And what we've seen over the last year is that, you know, there will be one company that pulls ahead and has a really, really incredible agentic model. Then somebody else will come out with something, and then somebody else will come out with something. And for Perplexity, we're like, awesome. Like we're just going to add the best models for our users, and allow them to choose whatever model they would like within Perplexity Computer. And models are becoming more specialized over time. So, you will see that you will probably over time, as you also become a more advanced user, have model preferences. Like I, for example, really like using Gemini 3.1 Pro to edit any text for me. I think it does a much better job than any other model on the market today. It makes it sound more natural, like has fewer M dashes. So like that is my preference as a more advanced user. And so you have access to all of this in computer. I don't know if there's anything else that you wanted to add to that, Jen.
Yeah, I want to call out that it can also run asynchronously. So one thing that we couldn't necessarily show in our demo today is that you can also ask computer to say, hey, update this daily, update this weekly, monthly, etc., for X many times or even indefinitely until you would like it to stop. So that is one thing that I want to call out. You could have it
Oh
run,
yeah.
go do another task, grab a cup of coffee and come back. Someone even asked of another day. That's always great.
Mhm. Oh
So
yeah, I didn't show this, but yeah, asynchronous work. So I basically had computer build this competitive intelligence dashboard across all of these different products for like Merck, for example, right? And what I have it do is every single day I have it update because it's a daily scan. So it found like in the last day it found 8 new events, and it updates the dashboard, right? So it does this on a recurring basis. I don't have to have my computer turned on, and then I can even ask it to like send me this update in Slack each day. And so it will actually send me the update in Slack. But yeah, that's a good point, Jenny.
yeah. And with Claude, for someone who was also asking specifically about co-work, I think it's one thing to roll out a specific terminal for someone to really have it be rolled out on desktop, but because the computer is available on web and working in the cloud, that is a lot easier to roll out for Teams as well as bringing it into Slack. I know folks were excited about Teams. It's on the roadmap.
Hmm. Hmm. You can today, though, you can push notifications to Teams. So Teams is already connected, right? It's just like you can't like at computer in Teams, but you can push your notifications to Teams or to SharePoint, right? You can ask it to every single day update your SharePoint document or every single week update your SharePoint document. So you can do all of this, right? And again, these are like more advanced use cases for computer.
Yeah.
Um,
Some folks, speaking of Teams and documents, we recently updated our file app connectors so that you can select very specific files you would like Perplexity and Computer to review, versus as well as you can have Perplexity and Computer view your entire file app repository. So if there are specific documents you would like have referenced more or have updated more often, not only can you prompt that in your prompt, but then also have those selected in your settings as well.
yeah. And somebody had asked how you share. So you can share, everything is private to you by default, but you could share, within your organization, for example, or you can share a public link, but you should be careful about that.